We all want to be happy, but happiness is often not dependent on external circumstances as we might think. A good job, a high income, successful relationships, or a beautiful living space may seem like they can bring happiness. But true happiness is largely hidden within our minds. The human mind is so complex that it often blocks happiness with psychological traps it creates for itself. If these traps go unnoticed, no matter how hard we try, life will always feel incomplete, restless, and unsatisfying. The psychological traps that block happiness usually operate in our subconscious and influence our lives without us realizing it. The first trap is the habit of constant procrastination. We all do this. I'll be happy after I finish this task, reach my goal, or solve my problems. But life naturally presents problems and obstacles continuously. A project gets completed, and a new problem begins. One goal is achieved, and another goal is set. Therefore, constantly postponing happiness to the future means never truly experiencing it. Not enjoying the present, ignoring the moment, drains a person's inner peace and life energy. Procrastination gradually becomes a habit and leads people to become strangers to their own lives. Over time, this situation deepens feelings of unhappiness and dissatisfaction. The second trap is comparing yourself to others. The human mind is naturally inclined to make comparisons. We compare our lives with someone else's life we see on social media. We measure a friend's success against our own shortcomings. But here lies a major misconception. Everyone has different life conditions, opportunities, past experiences, and challenges. Looking at someone else's life and overshadowing your own life directly reduces your happiness. Constant comparison feeds feelings of inadequacy, undermines self-confidence, and prevents one from enjoying their own life. For example, seeing friends constantly on vacation on social media may make someone feel their own life is lacking, even though their own life may contain small but valuable moments that go unnoticed. The third trap is magnifying negative thoughts. Our minds naturally focus on the negative. We may overlook 10 good things that happened in a day and keep replaying one bad event over and over. This tendency comes from our brain's old survival mechanisms. In the past, noticing dangers was critical for survival. However, in modern life, this mechanism harms us. Exaggerating a small mistake, always thinking of the worst-case scenario, or continuously replaying negative memories steals happiness and drains your energy. For instance, failing an exam and dwelling on it all day while ignoring other positive events diminishes the joy in life. Even recognizing these three traps is an important step. Happiness is not a feeling but a perspective. If we break the habit of procrastination, avoid comparisons, and reduce our focus on negativity, we can find more peace in the present moment. Awareness can profoundly change our lives. The mind has been used to these patterns for years, so change may take time. However, conscious effort and awareness open the door to happiness. Ask yourself, how much have you postponed your happiness? Whom or what have you compared yourself to? Which negative thoughts occupy your mind? Even asking these questions brings you one step closer to change. The traps that block happiness are not outside, they exist within your mind. In this part, we have examined the first three psychological traps in detail: procrastination, comparison, and negative thoughts. In the next part, we will explore the remaining three traps and see in depth how they affect our lives. Once you recognize them, opening the path to happiness will become much easier. In the first part, we examined three psychological traps that block happiness: procrastination, comparison, and focusing on negative thoughts. Now, we will take a closer look at the other three traps. These traps also quietly influence our lives and overshadow our happiness. The fourth trap is the need for control. Humans naturally dislike uncertainty and want to plan everything and ensure that everything goes perfectly. However, by nature, life is unpredictable, and we cannot control every event or person. When we fail to accept this truth, we constantly experience disappointment. The effort to control drains our energy and eventually leads to feelings of helplessness. For example, trying to perfect a project by controlling every detail can cause both mental and physical fatigue. The secret to happiness is not trying to control everything, but trusting the flow of life. Accepting unexpected situations increases mental ease and lightens the mind. The fifth trap is carrying the weight of the past. Regrets, resentments, and mistakes are traces of the past. Constantly thinking, "I wish it hadn't happened that way," or "Why did I miss that opportunity?" shadows the value of today. It is impossible to change the past. Being stuck on it blocks happiness. For example, constantly recalling and blaming yourself over an old friendship can overshadow the peace in your current relationships. Learning. To let go of the past, forgive, and give yourself a new chance frees the soul. Today is where happiness begins. Taking even small steps each day reduces the burden of the past and refreshes the mind. The sixth trap is perfectionism. A perfectionist mind wants everything to be flawless. Life is inherently imperfect, and the bigger the gap between expectations and reality, the greater the dissatisfaction. Seeking perfection in our work, relationships, and even our own bodies overshadows happiness. However, happiness comes from seeing the beauty within imperfections. For example, when small mistakes occur in a work project, instead of dismissing all efforts as worthless, noticing what went well and the lessons learned increases happiness. Being real, not perfect, is what truly matters. Now, when we put all six traps together, we realize that the things that block happiness are not external, but are in our mental patterns. Procrastination, comparison, negative thoughts, the need for control, being stuck in the past, and perfectionism, all are traps that grow in our minds. Recognizing and moving away from these traps reveals the feeling of happiness in our lives. Avoiding these six traps is, of course, not immediately easy. Mental habits form over years, and changing them requires patience and conscious effort. The important thing is to take small steps, completing a task you've postponed, choosing not to compare yourself on social media for a day, or avoiding focusing on negative thoughts for a day. Every small step is a path closer to happiness. Ask yourself, which traps do you fall into the most? Which habits overshadow your happiness? Awareness is the first step toward change. Even small steps are enough to resolve mental traps and bring peace into your life. Remember, happiness is not something to be found outside. It is hidden in your perspective and in your mind. Enjoying small things, letting go of the past, and seeing beauty within imperfections. This is true happiness. Finally, be patient with yourself on the journey to happiness. Every small change you notice each day creates a big difference in the long run. Happiness is not a destination. It is a journey to be continuously experienced. What matters on this journey is moving away from mental traps and appreciating the value of the present moment.